We're good?
Yep.
Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go!
A live look at downtown Nashville, Broadway, and I guess that is 4th Avenue South here in downtown Nashville, as you have the same view that we have as we're coming to you live from AJ's Good Time Bar here on Broadway, and we are so happy to be with you. Kind of a random place for us to be, Mo, but it makes sense in the grand scheme of things when you realize what today's top story is and why we were down here. But we are, finally getting off of the weekend, starting off the week right here in downtown Nashville. We don't get down here often enough. We don't get to Nashville often enough, but it's pretty exciting to be here right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a nice hangout here at AJ's Good Time Bar, and kudos to you for getting us in here.
So it's a nice spot. It's quiet right now, but it will not be quiet this evening. Obviously, once folks start coming in to sing a little karaoke here on the 3rd floor, and listening to, looks like Chandler Brown is on the 1st floor right now, picking out a tune. And of course, if you know anything about AJ's Bar, you know that when you walk in, no new country can be played. It has to be old country or nothing. They don't like the new stuff. So that's the rules here.
I like that.
The good thing is on the 3rd floor, it's pretty well open season.
It's wide open.
It doesn't matter.
So it's just on the 1st floor that it's old country.
Well,
old school.
Everywhere but karaoke, which because you can't come to karaoke and not sing Love Shack, right? I'm pretty sure that's in the rules too. But anyway, it is a beautiful day as we look outside here in downtown Nashville. And I'm super excited to be here again. Welcome in. It's Main Street Sports Today. We're presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and we've got a great show for you. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the news of the day, which is the retirement of David POILE effective in June. He will be replaced by the first head coach in Nashville Predators history, will now be the 2nd general manager in Nashville Predators history, and that is Barry Trotz. We were at the press conference earlier today, got a chance to see that. Really exciting stuff, and we'll react to that. We will react to the weekend that was in college hoops. We're also going to talk about the NFL Combine, some news that came out over the weekend with that. We'll get into spring training, some goofiness happening at spring training down in the Grapefruit League, and we'll talk to Willie Donick, who is the Preds on Bally voice. So plenty to get to, Mo. Looking forward to this one.
All right.
Let's go ahead and give them this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Girls basketball action over the weekend. Ensworth Downs Baylor 56-46. It was Beach 66, Wilson Central 35. Blackman Downs Smyrna 66-21. And Brentwood ends the season for Ravenwood 64-45. It was Briarcrest Christian 42, Father Ryan 32. CAK 53-29 winners over Nashville Christian, and Rockville was a 59-44 winner over Cane Ridge. Cheatham County Downs Giles County 67-33, and Clarksville a 72-29 winner over Kenwood. It was a Clay County 64, Merrill Hyde 35, Columbia Central 56-33 against John Overton. It was Community 71, Whites Creek 22, Cookville 89-34 winners over Station Camp, and Creekwood an 82-19 winner over Valor Collegiate. Dixon County Downs West Creek 59-42, East Nashville 74, Grundy County 34, Red Bowling Springs 51-42 winners over East Robertson, and Forest Downs Stratford 53-29. Franklin Road Christian a 49-38 winner over Cedarview Christian, and Gallatin 55-51 against Lebanon. Greenbrier 64, Hillwood 30, Green Hill 39, Hendersonville 26, Harpeth Hall Downs Hutchinson School 66-37, and Henry County defeats Springfield 68-38, Hillsboro 42, Independence 27.
Also, Huntland defeated Culleoka 60-24. It was Knoxville Catholic 53, Brentwood Academy 37, Livingston Academy, Hogeye 52, Lawrence County 43, Loretto with a 90-37 win over Harpeth. Maplewood defeated Portland 46-32. It was Mount Pisgah Christian 69, Pleasant View Christian 39. Murfreesboro Central with a 51-28 win over Liberty Creek. Nolensville defeated Franklin 54-47. Oakland with a 58-23 win over Laverne. Pearl-Cone down Cascade 59-38. It was Pickett County 87, Joe Burns 48. Eagleville with a 44-33 road win at Richland. Rossview 57, Clarksville Northwest 49. Stewart's Creek 40, Siegel 29. Summertown 74, Fairview 40. Sycamore with a 59-25 win over Lewis County. The Kings Academy defeated Providence Christian 71-62. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 62, Trinity Christian 58. Upperman with a 56-38 win over Page. Westmoreland defeated Sequatchie County 45-26. And York Institute 53, Watertown 18.
Go ahead, that Saturday score.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday girls action. Franklin Road Christian 44, Mount Pisgah Christian 42. I wonder if that was TSIAA state championship. I bet it
sounds
was.
like.
I bet it was. Boys basketball action on Saturday. Montgomery Bell Academy Downs Baylor 54-48, and Beach takes care of Cookville 55-42. It was Blackman 58, Stewart's Creek 56, Brentwood Academy 61, Memphis University School 37. And Briarcrest Christian takes down Cross Presbyterian 91-61. Cane Ridge, a 65-62 winner over Oakland, and Cascade Downs Lead Academy 81-67. Cheatham County 79, Lewis County 51, Clarksville Academy 76-61 over Sacred Heart. It was Northwest 54, Northeast 47. Knowledge Academies with maybe the upset of the weekend with a 69-58 win over Clay County. Murfreesboro Central, Aegis Creekwood 60-56, and Dixon County Downs West Creek 71-70 is Wayne County 58, Eagleville 55, and East Nashville 97-27 winners over Forest. East Robertson 45, Gordonsville 37, Fairview 66, Summertown 49, Fayetteville 70-35 winners, doubling up Culleoka, and Ravenwood Downs Franklin 59-49. Giles County 84-65 winners over Harpeth, Green Hill 40, Station Camp 38, Pearl-Cone 69, Grundy County 43, and Hendersonville 63-46 winners over Wilson Central.
Also in boys action on Saturday, it was Clarksville 64, Henry County 56, Hillsboro with a 74-34 win over visiting Summit. Hillwood defeated White House 51-38. was Independence 55, Brentwood 44. Joe Burns with a 58-47 win over Red Boiling Springs. Knoxville Webb 65, Livingston Academy 51. Laverne 43, Siegel 35. Lawrence County Downs Livingston Academy 85-74. Lebanon with a 58-46 win over Gallatin. White House Heritage goes into the barn, ends the Mustangs season 55-51 over host Loretto. Martin Luther King 48, Greenbrier 44. Nolansville with a 61-56 win over Centennial. Notre Dame defeated Davidson Academy 59-51. Stone Memorial on the road out in Rutterville Downs Page 57-47. Portland with a 51-43 win over Glencliff. Huntland comes into Linville. I don't know if they went by 31 South or not, but they did get a 69-63 win over Richland. Rockvale with a 46-39 win over Antioch. Ross View defeated Kenwood 71-54. Moore County with a 57-53 win at Santa Fe. Good Pasture Downs the Kings Academy 51-36. It was Spring Hill going up on the plateau and downing Upperman 56-53. That was a 4-over-1 as well, Chris. Watertown defeats Sequatchie County 50-40. Westmoreland with a 59-46 win over Monterey. And Whites Creek 62, Community 42.
Women's college basketball action. Middle Tennessee State 61-59 winners at Louisiana Tech over the Lady Texters. It was Southern Indiana 67, Tennessee State 61. Lipscomb Downs Austin P 65-50, and Belmont takes care of Drake 83-77. It was Tennessee 83-63 winners over Kentucky. Auburn squeaks by Vanderbilt 78-76, and Trevecca Downs Ursuline 70-65. In junior college play, on the women's side, Chattanooga State down Vol State 98-46, and Cleveland State was a 77-59 winner over Columbia State.
Men's basketball action over the weekend. Florida Gulf Coast 89, Austin P 71, Lipscomb 98, Stetson 91 in overtime. Tennessee 85, South Carolina 45. We told you the Gamecocks would be good for what ailed the Vols. Of course, having JoJo James back didn't hurt any either.
Certainly didn't.
Southern Indiana 93, Tennessee State 81. Vanderbilt with a 88-72 win over Florida. Ashland defeats Trevecca 78-61. In junior college action, Chattanooga State defeated Vol State 80-69, and Columbia State defeated Cleveland State 70-67. In the association, it was the Memphis Grizzlies 112, the Denver Nuggets 94. On the ice, the Preds with a 6-2 win over Arizona.
Speaking of the Grizzlies, Anonymous Grizzly today.
Yeah,
how about that?
Go figure.
Tonight's schedule: girls basketball region semifinals. Winners advance. Losers will start playing softball or something else, I guess, or golf or whatever else they
golf.
Whatever. Well, if they're not, if they just
I guess they
want to
could
go play golf, they want to. I don't know.
Not scholastically, but yeah, they could go play golf. Yeah, go tee it up.
Region 4 2A at Community tonight. It's Pearl County Community at 6. East Nashville Forest at 7:30. At Fairview, it's Region 5 2A. Loretto and Sycamore at 6, followed by Cheatham County and Summertown at 7:30. At Liberty Creek, it's Region 5 3A. It's Maplewood and Creekwood and Greenbrier, Murfreesboro Central Magnet. And at Blackman, the hosts will take on Rockville at 6 and Oakland Stewart's Creek at 7:30.
In Region 5 4A at Mount Juliet, girls semifinals, Gallatin and Cookville at 6, Green Hill and Beach at 7:30. In Region 6 4A at Hillsboro, Nolansville and the host Lady Burroughs at 6, Brentwood and Columbia Central at 7:30. And in Region 7 4A at Clarksville, Henry County and the host Lady Wildcats at 6, followed by Rossview and Dixon County at 7:30. And that is your rundown.
Top story today. Again, we told you just moments ago that David Poile has announced he will step down in June following this season in the National Hockey League as the general manager of the Nashville Predators. Predators had his retirement ceremony this morning on Monday at around 11 o'clock. And during that ceremony also announced that former Preds head coach and 2018 Stanley Cup winner Barry Trotz as the head coach of the New York, not the Islanders, the Capitals.
Caps.
He took the Caps to a Stanley Cup a few years back, and
Won a
his
Stanley Cup and left.
It's certainly
It's one way to
decision.
go out.
Yeah.
It's certainly a decision. It is indeed a decision.
But
Yeah.
Trotz will take over for the outgoing POILE. A fantastic event this morning. Everybody.
It really was cool to be around for that because, you know, we don't often get to see. First of all, we don't cover the press a whole lot, really. But to actually be on hand for that, and, you know, we have at times given David Poile a hard time on this show.
Sure.
But when you look at, when you take the long view,
The totality.
thank you. When you take the long view of what he's done from the moment he set foot in Nashville to this point, I mean, you can't be anything but impressed, and you can't be anything but complimentary of what he's done here. He credited so many other people for the creation of Smashville, and he was as big a part of it as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, he is the guy who went out and got the players that created Smashville. I mean, you go back to that Shea Weber trade for PK Subban. I mean, and it was a blockbuster trade. A lot of folks were very, very angry with David Poile, but I'd say it worked out really well because obviously the 2017 run, the President's Cup in 18, what a run that was for this organization. And you know, while he didn't bring a Stanley Cup to Nashville, he certainly made hockey a household name.
He made hockey a relevant sport in a city where you really had to fight to do it.
And he fought for a long time.
Yeah, because, I mean, to say that Nashville is a non-traditional hockey market is a bit of an understatement, probably.
Yeah, probably understatement of the year.
Yeah, but it certainly has caught on. You know, obviously those of us who were around for that Stanley Cup run, you know, it was just electric around here. It's kind of unfortunate that window closed up without being able to make another run at it. But, you know, this city, this area really responded and embraced that opportunity. And, you know, I think that's what makes it so hard that they haven't gotten back to that level. And again, as we talk so often on this show, when you create the monster, you got to feed it.
Well,
and once you put Stanley Cup or bust around yourself as a franchise, then you got to get there.
And what was so frustrating was being the 8th seed, going to the Cup, winning the President's Trophy the very next year as the best team in the
league.
NHL, and then losing in the first round of the playoffs to Winnipeg, and you know, not winning a single home playoff game in that series against Winnipeg. It was frustrating for a lot of folks because, you know, I was out here. I was on Broadway, Game 6 against in the Stanley Cup, and you know, I can remember just that buzz. Of course, it was in the middle of Fanfare or CMA Fest, so that was on top of everything else. But it was an incredible. I mean, there were signs. My favorite sign, I'll never forget. It was outside of Doc Holliday's on 2nd Avenue. It said, "Jesus saves, but not like Pekka." And I promise you, I was like, that is phenomenal. Like, I was like, that's the kind of thing that you love about what Nashville style hockey was. It's not the traditional, you know, it's not the Habs style where it's we're a professional organization and we're going to do it, you know, the Nick Saban way.
There was nothing professional about this.
We are the complete opposite.
It was party hockey. It was in your face hockey. It was trash talking hockey, you know, and
I'll be interested to see what kind of hockey Barry Trotz brings to Smashville, if that Smashville era is going to continue or if he's going to go in a different direction.
Well, I mean, I think, as everybody in this town is so fond of saying, nobody throws a party like Nashville.
No.
I mean, I don't think there's any way to get around if they do manage to get back what it's going to be like.
I'm looking forward to the next several years and Barry Trotz. I think it's going to be an interesting set of years because he's going to be rebuilding this franchise, and that's
and this weekend kind of
That's right.
hastened that rebuild a little bit, I think.
Exactly, and that's why we are going to talk with Preds on Valley voice Willie Donick on the other side of a break. So you guys stick around. We'll talk about the trades the Preds have made, the impact that David Poile continued to have on this Nashville franchise as he'll be sticking around in other roles, but of course Barry Trotz as well. So stick around. We'll be right back after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow alongside Mo Patton, and coming to you live from Broadway and Alan Jackson's Good Time Bar right here. You should come by and say hello to Matt. Thank you to Matt and the fine folks here at AJ's for allowing us to be here on the premises to bring you today's show, where, as you take a look there at a lot of road work going on here on the side of Broadway. I'm curious
I guess you'd rather be doing that on February 27th than on May or June 27th.
Yeah, this is a good time of year. Good time of year to be doing road work if you're going to be doing
it. Doesn't look like February out there, though.
Does not. And here's the thing is it's not deceptively nice either. It's actually nice outside.
It's actually nice, yeah. It's funny because as dreary as it looked this morning,
yes,
you wouldn't have expected this now.
Yeah. So
not that I'm complaining.
Not at all. Not at all. Well, we continue our top story reaction as we bring in Preds on Valley voice Willie Donick. Willie, thanks for taking some time with us today, man. What a crazy weekend it has probably been for folks around the Preds organization.
Yeah, it's really something I think we'll remember for a long time. It has been the last 2 to 3 days in particular, very interesting, with big decisions being made for the current team and also for the organization going. So yeah, just to be able to see it from my perspective, I'm fortunate to be in the seat I'm in. I see the different perspectives, from the management, from the players and coaches. So those are not always exactly the same thing. Different people view things differently, but man, it has been very eventful. It's got everybody around the league's attention.
Oh, without question. I mean, you can't see the only general manager in the history of a franchise announce his retirement and it not make news, coast to coast within the sport, Willie. And you've been around the Predators almost as long as anybody here. I mean, you've kind of grown up with this franchise professionally. dealt closely with Poile, dealt with Barry as well. What do you feel like Barry brings as a GM to this situation?
Well, first of all, like you said, Mo, I go back to the beginning. I was joking with Barry and David today because they referenced it. Because Jack Diller, the original president of the Predators, was on hand today, as well as a handful of other employees that were there at the very beginning. And I was not an employee. I was just doing sports talk radio. I eventually joined the radio team as the pre and post game show host on the flagship station. But I was at David Poile's introductory press conference, and I was at Barry Trotz's. And I'll tell you, there weren't nearly as many people in the room. That they didn't have to take up the ice surface to have those press conferences, because there might have been 15, 25 people there at the most. We were joking about that. But I've seen it from the beginning. And your question is a good one, Mo, because he's never been a general manager before. So we're not sure. But the impression I got today was just very natural. He comes in and he knows everybody he's going to be working with. For example, I mean, obviously David Poile, but he also knows the assistant GMs very well. Brian Poile, Jeff Kilty, player for Barry Trotz in the very, very first training camp. He got a concussion and it pretty much ended his career, but it started him on the path to where he is now. He's the guy that really runs the scouting, the development of the amateur players. So basically he runs the draft, right? Jeff Kilty, he's more behind the scenes. You don't see or hear from him that much, but Barry Trotz this whole time. And of course, Scotty Nickel, who runs the Milwaukee team and has interviewed for other GM positions at the NHL level. I think he is a future GM for sure. Scotty Nickel was a trusted player for Barry Trotz. So he knows these guys. But I think it's also important that Barry Trotz has gone out of the Predator family and succeeded on the highest level, right? Winning a Stanley Cup for Washington, elevating a New York Islanders franchise that hadn't had any playoff success to speak of in a long, long time before he got there. He made them contenders, got them to a couple of Final Fours, if you will. So I think that experience in the 9 years he's been gone for Nashville is just as important as his role in the foundation of the franchise.
Willie Donick, Preds on Valley voice of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. And Willie, you talked about it. He left the franchise. I thought it was kind of ironic as I was looking over the release that the Predators put out. The same year that the Predators won the President's Cup after going to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2017 was the year that Barry won the Stanley Cup with the Capitals. It was kind of looks a little synergistic when you think about it. But going out, spending time in Washington, spending time with the Islanders, yeah, I'm sure he saw some different things, kind of broadened his horizons a little bit. So he's got a breadth of experiences that he can bring back to that general manager's role as he succeeds David Poile.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's where, it's interesting about what you threw out there, Mo, that they won the Cup for the Capitals the year that the Predators won the President's Trophy. So that they almost met in the final. And then the year before, the Capitals won the President's Trophy in 2017, and that was the year that the Predators went all the way to the final. So it almost happened a couple of times that they met in the Cup final. That would have been really, really interesting. But just a little bit of history. I think it's a big strength to have been a coach for so long as a general manager, but there's also some things that I think he's probably going to have to delegate and learn as he learns on being a general manager. I think today too, guys, at the press conference this has been a process that started back at the start of the calendar year, somewhere around there, where Barry officially decided he was not going to come back and coach. He could have taken 2 or 3 different jobs. The Jets had a standing offer to him throughout the summer. And then I think there were some other jobs that came open during the season. They were knocking on his door. And I think he had to tell them, I'm just not there mentally. I haven't decided if I want to keep coaching or not. And then he pretty much decided he wasn't. And that's when David Poile, I think, along the line, was saying, okay, where am I going to get off this ride? Is it time for me to retire? And they've got a unique opportunity here to sort of hand over the job to the guy that he most respects. And so it's a really unique situation because they were both joking, right? Usually you don't get to do this. David especially. Most of his colleagues, you end your career and you retire because you get fired and the phone doesn't ring anywhere else. So he had the opportunity to pass the baton, and he had the opportunity to hire a guy that he really has the utmost respect for. But I do think there'll be a learning curve for Barry Trotz, right? I think he's pretty much admitted that. And we'll see how it goes because he dives right in a situation where the team's making some very important decisions.
Willie, Chris and I were at the press conference. As Chris said earlier, we ducked out before it ended. So I don't know if this question was asked or not. If Barry Trotz is not available, does David Poile make this move?
That's a great question. And I do not know the answer to that. I do think it was pretty apparent that the ownership group, as it exists now, deeply, deeply trusted David Poile and gave him the ability to sort of make that decision when he was ready. Mm-hmm. So what I don't know, and this is what none of us know, is with Bill Haslam, Governor Haslam, starting to come in the coming years, months. I don't know if that influenced his decision that he wanted to sort of give somebody a fresh start as he came in and eventually graduates up and becomes the leader of our ownership group here in Nashville. I still think that's one of the great stories. And one of the chapters of David Poile's tenure is keeping the franchise steady. The ownership transition happened. That whole crisis of Craig Leopold selling the team and us almost losing as a city our major league franchise. David Poile kept it together, kept the team competitive while that was going on. So I don't know if that entered into his mind. I didn't get a chance to ask him that today, but I am curious as he saw sort of an ownership, change in leadership. Did he feel like maybe that made it sort of the right time to make this decision?
Willie, as we look at where the Preds are right now, obviously David Poile is making moves. I mean, the Predators just got a haul in draft picks for Tanner Jeannot to go to Tampa Bay. Of course, so you had the trade with the Jets sending Nino Niederreiter, and so obviously it looks like this team has finally made the decision to go into a full rebuild as best they can. Is having David Poile as a special assistant or whatever, how important is that going to be for Barry once they kind of get going in this rebuild?
Well, they have not said it's a rebuild. I do think there are different levels, right, of retooling. And I think a lot of general managers, I just saw Mike Greer, of first-time general manager, just made a big trade yesterday of Timo Meier to the Devils, who, by the way, the general manager is Tom Fitzgerald, the original captain for Barry and David Poile. So he's a guy that's working the phones now. All these GMs are sort of asked the question, are you buyers or are you sellers? I think there are levels in between. I'm not sure you're going to see them completely break this whole team down and set off a rebuild or anything like that. I think there's different possibilities. What we found out yesterday with the Tanner Jeannot deal is the market's pretty good. If you've got some assets that looking to move for the now, like you guys just referenced, for Tanner Jeannot. Tanner Jeannot is a special player. But I would think even if you were above the line right now and in a wild card position, you'd have to think long and hard to not pull the trigger on that deal. If somebody's offering you almost an entire draft, think about that. 5 draft picks plus a defenseman that, with a fresh start could be a serviceable guy. For a guy that plays the role that Tanner Jeannot does, how could you possibly refuse that? So I think it was difficult to come to grips with where the team is. Because as I look at the standings here, the team is on it's played pretty well the last 5 games. They've won 4 out of 5. They're in a softer part of their schedule. So I think in the next 10 games, you could actually make a pretty deep run and be right there. But I think they've made the assessment that even at their best, it's still not good enough. And they need to try to opportunities to grab assets. But the full rebuild, I don't know. There could be different levels to this depending on what other moves might be out there in the next 4 or 5 days, with the trade deadline being on Friday.
Predators getting 5 picks, 3 in the upcoming draft, plus a second rounder in 2024 and a first rounder in 2025, as you mentioned.
That's like Mike Ditka and Ricky Williams, right?
It's close. What are you saying?
Unless, and I found this very interesting. If the Lightning have a top 10 pick, they get that pick.
So it's conditional. Okay.
Which is I've never seen that before.
Well, it's kind of a new thing. And it is, you wouldn't get the pick that year, but you would get a first rounder the next year.
Right.
Is when that would happen. And at that point, I don't think it would be top 10 protected. So I don't think it stays top 10 protected forever. And it'll be curious to see, in 2025, what would the look like? They're definitely playing for the now. The reason it's a 2025 first rounder is because they don't have a first rounder until then. They've traded them. They've gone all in the last years. So I don't know if they have any draft picks left. It's like the Rams trying to go out and win the Super Bowl. You wonder if they even send a guy to the draft.
We're just not going. Yeah, no point. What are we going for? We ain't picking nobody. No way. Yeah. Willie, you talked about the recent success that the Predators have had, but after trading Niederreiter, after trading Jeannot, in that room, are people wondering who's next, and how does that impact what happens on the ice here over the next week leading up to the trade deadline on Friday?
Mo, firsthand, you could tell. I mean, and just put yourself in the position of a Roman Josi or a Ryan McDonough, the leaders of the team, Matthias Ekholm, on down the line. It can't help but hit you hard, right? When you lose important players and the message has been sent. We're moving in this direction, and you guys are going to have to deal with it. And I think those guys, starting with John Hines, deserve a lot of credit. I would say John Hines and then Roman Josi. And I know for a fact, they talked yesterday and said, okay, we don't have to like this, but we've got to be where we are right now. We've been given these circumstances. What are we going to do about it? They both talk about it with the team and put the team in the right mindset. And they were even throwing a curveball right before the game with Jeannot actually going through the warm-up. I was interviewing Roman Josi on the ice. I looked out, Tanner Jeannot was going through the warm-up. And then when it's time to start the game, that's when we got the note that he would be held out because of the imminent trade. And yet the guys still played hard. They played 2 forwards down and played a good game. And the young players who I think are starting to step to the forefront all played. The leaders like Roman Josi had big games, and they dealt with it. So you got to be a pro with that there. So I'm really curious to see how they go, because if you look at the next 10 games, guys, it's a fairly soft part of the schedule. I think they can still win some games. Now, if they trade 3 or 4 more guys, change things. But even if they could possibly get Philip Forsberg back in the next week or so, and I don't know exactly when that's going to be. You got UC Saros. You still got Roman Josi. You got some guys playing with confidence right now. You could still win some games. And so I don't know if that's going to be that'll be something to watch. I mean, the ideal thing would be you have your cake and eat it too, right? You build a bunch of assets for the future, and you still win in the meantime. But that's high in the sky. We'll see. And if they get some phone calls and people offer them a haul for other players, they may not be able to resist that.
You bring up an interesting point. Is the phone ringing, or are they making the calls?
Oh, I think it's probably both, but I think the phone is ringing. I look at the Eastern Conference guys. Here are the first round matchups. Okay, in the East. It's almost set. Toronto, who has not won a playoff series since 2004. All right, now think about where you guys were in 2004.
Graduating high school, Willie.
Okay, there you go. So imagine in
Sorry.
Toronto, one of the biggest hockey markets have not won a playoff series since 2004. They want it bad. They've got players. They're loading up. And who is their first round opponent? Tampa Bay, who's been to the last 3 finals and won 2. So somebody going first round. They went 7 games, those same 2 teams last year, and it went right in, and Tampa Bay beat them. But somebody's going down. So they're loading up. The phones, they're calling everybody. And then the other matchup in the Eastern Conference is the Devils, who are having the best season they've had in about 10 years, and the Rangers. And so they're loading up. Both of them have both made big moves. So I think the other teams are following suit. One's made a big deal last week as well. They may not be done making deals. So I think to answer your question, Mo, I think you're always trying to gauge what the market is, but I don't think you have to wait for some people to call you and say, okay, here's what we're thinking right now.
Do you think, Willie, that the Predators have other players earmarked? And, you know, I wouldn't want you to call any names for the obvious reasons, but certainly Matthias Ekholm's name has been tossed out there. And do you feel like they have other targets that,
or is there anybody that's protected?
yeah,
you know, Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi, for example, have no trade clauses. So I think you probably would rule those out. Other than that, I think they would take the phone calls, if nothing else. Here's the thing to keep in mind. Nino Niederreiter has a salary cap hit of $4 million this year, and he is guaranteed $4 million next year. And you notice they only got a second-round pick back for a guy who is a really solid player, who was having an excellent season. 18 goals, about what you would expect from Nino Niederreiter. That's what they signed him to do. And I think his career high is 25, and it's not out of the realm. He could end up with 25. But he only got a second-round pick back, which is a decent return. But the reason they didn't get anything close to what they got for him, as opposed to Tanner Jeannot, is because everybody's up in salary, and they have to make sure they trade him to a team that has room to put him on the roster next year. And so many teams are up against it with the contracts all guaranteed. It's not like football where you can cut guys and move money around. You're locked in. So that's why there weren't a whole lot of people. So a guy like Ekholm, he has 2 years left after this year of over $6 per year. That's not easy for a team to assume. So it makes it a little more complicated. And there's other guys you would throw into that mix that make even more for longer. So keep that in mind when you watch the trades go down. Now, what teams are doing some is retaining some salary. They're splitting the money. You can split up to 50% of the remaining contract. But if there's 2 or 3 years left on that contract, as opposed to an expiring contract, which is what we've been seeing, you know, upcoming free agent, I'll split the remaining salary for the rest of this year. That's really a short-term thing. But if I've got to take half the guy's salary for 2 or 3 more years, I got a budget for that. And so it's going to affect what you get back. Keep that in mind as you watch all the rumors go down. But, man, it has been something to watch these last few days.
Yes, it has. Willie Donick, the Preds on Bally play-by-play voice for the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Willie, thanks for taking time with us and talking a little bit about what's going on. I know it's a crazy time. We were, you know, like we said, we were there with you. We know it was kind of nuts with literally everyone in the organization felt like was in the building for that press conference. So it's crazy, but you've got a game tomorrow night, and should be interesting to see how things go here in Smashville as Pittsburgh comes to town.
And who's there?
Sidney Crosby. You know, there's a team right there that's locked in on veterans, going for it, trying to keep the window open. You know, it's kind of like those older Patriots teams. You know, you're trying to hang on, stay in the window, and they're fighting to just stay in the playoffs. So it's a big, big game for them. So, you know, I think now that the weight's lifted off the Predators, I'm curious to see what they look like tomorrow. If they're just loose and play like they've been playing, and you got UC Soros in goal, that's going to be an intriguing game to watch as we get closer to Friday's deadline.
Yes, it will. Well, Willie, once again, thanks for taking time. We will talk to you very soon. We appreciate you being flexible with us and coming in clutch.
No problem, guys. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, hoops reactions from over the weekend. We talk hoops and more right here on Main Street Sports Today. Stick around.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. I'm Chris Yow. He's Mo Patton. We're coming to you live from AJ's Good Time Bar here in downtown Nashville on Broadway as you were taking a look at, boy, what a crazy day it has been downtown today. But it has been fun. We've enjoyed talking about reminiscing on the history of the Nashville Predators. Lots of it to get around to, but
we were lucky enough.
Nope, he still didn't unmute you. No. There he is.
You know, I had gotten used to that happening, and then we made a change in that position, and I didn't think I would have to deal with it anymore.
And yet,
no, we were fortunate enough to get, you know, as you mentioned, one of the OGs in terms of the Predators. You know, Willie Donick really kind of knows where the bodies are buried. Like we said, he kind of came up with the organization, and so he was, you know, uniquely equipped to speak to that entire situation, I think. So thanks again to him for coming on with us.
Man, and you know, it's a little weird to me considering, you know, POILE hires Trotz as coach, Trotz comes back as GM. With the way that the Preds have been going, is that the move that they really want to make? But honestly, you know, the more and more I think about it, yes, there have been some moves that didn't work out, but there's a
lot more have. One thing.
But as Joe Rexrode wrote in his column this morning for The Athletic, which of those moves didn't you like when they were made? You can't be mad at the guy if you thought it was a good move too.
Right.
You weren't out here saying that's a terrible. The only move. There are two moves that I think that David POILE made that I was upset about.
I'm not. Before you.
Okay.
I'm not sure how widely accepted or how widely excited people were about Duchesne.
Well, I think it was that's one of them, but that's the second part of one.
Okay.
I think you trade PK Subban to cut cap space, and then you sign Matt Duchesne for $4 million a year. That doesn't make any sense.
Very little.
I mean, if you were trying to save cap space, save cap space. Don't go sign a guy who, you know, the devil you know way better than the devil you don't, and then you literally sent him to the Devils. PK. So I mean, there's that.
My bell's not working, or else I'd bell that really hard.
But you know, that's one move that I thought was questionable at best. And number two, just like what Christopher Martel said, and we said it, why hire John Hines when he plays a completely different style of hockey than the guy that you built the team for? And you can't. It's really hard to win if, like Mike Vrabel, you can't go out and have a bunch of 4-3 guys on defense.
Right.
You know, a bunch of guys who fly sideline to sideline, whatever. You got to have some tough guys, some guys that get in there and are hard nosed. It's a different style. You got to build the team for the guy coaching it, and groceries and whatnot.
Right. And that's a question that needs to be asked. I'm not sure that Willie was necessarily the person to ask it to.
Sure.
But, you know, as we ask, you know, what of John Hines? And with the former coach now as GM?
I joked earlier. We've seen GM coaches before. It was a joke. I don't think Barry Trotz.
I don't think that's what Barry Trotz is signing up for. I don't think he has any desire to do that. But I'm sure Barry Trotz has an idea of what he looks like on the bench.
Yeah.
And John Hines isn't
Probably
necessarily it.
Yeah.
So
that's a question that is going to get answered. I mean, obviously, I think, you know, John's going to make this he's going to get this season to ride it out. No reason not to at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly a question, and I think when we've been asking it all day, you know, in what direction does Barry Trotz go when it comes to the coach of this franchise? And I'm curious I'm curious about it. I
Sure.
really am.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I guess we've spent almost an entire hour on this, but that's not surprisingly. I mean, it is the biggest news of the day. A guy doesn't retire 25 years as GM of a franchise, and
you just blow it off.
Yeah, you kind of talk about this one,
Yeah.
and so we thank you guys for bearing with us as we have kind of just had internal questions, a lot of questions unanswered here on Main Street Sports today in regards to the Predators franchise. But honestly, I think, you guys have got the same questions. What next? What now?
Mm-hmm.
And, throughout the week, hopefully we can talk to some folks who may have some answers to that.
Or maybe some answers will start to
materialize.
Yeah.
That would be great too. All right, let's talk a little college hoops, because we talked about it on Friday and said, look, if Tennessee is going to get right with this South Carolina team coming into Thompson Bowling Arena, they've got to jump on them, get there quick, take advantage of their of the Gamecocks being, kind of
shell shocked.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if
they
that's a
kinda
good phrase or not.
They kind of got shanked in the heart right there, just with regards to their loss against Alabama. So that's not ideal. And so when you come into Thompson Bowling Arena, a team, Tennessee, that has been struggling, how do you respond off of an overtime loss to the number 2 team in the country? Well, they didn't respond very well. Tennessee took care of business, and it ended up losing a spot in the AP poll.
Well, they had lost earlier in the week.
Obviously losing, yeah.
But
it is certainly interesting how Tennessee was able to, again, like you said off air, Mo, JoJo James makes a difference. And being able to rely on a guy. And here's the thing. When Euros is playing the way that he played on Saturday, you're going to win more games than you don't.
I told you that.
You got to have him.
You do have to have him. He has to play like, he has to find a way to play like he did Saturday every time he goes out there, because Rick Barnes isn't going to accept less, for one thing.
We know what
and
you're
he's got to
capable
be
of,
on
buddy.
the floor. And so, to be on the floor, he has to play like he played.
And here's the thing, and we're not going to let you go out there and try to figure it out for 20 minutes. You got to show us that you're going to play that way in the first 5. Otherwise, you're going to be on the bench with me, son.
You got a really short. You got a short hook.
He does, because here's the thing: if he's not giving
short
you
rope, I guess.
If he's not giving you that, you don't have time to let him
figure it out. Yeah. Because figure it out quick.
Yeah, and so he did that on Saturday. This Tennessee team looked really good. I mean,
17 minutes, 5 of 5 from the floor. Only had 1 rebound.
Yeah, but that's really not. And ironically, guy, 7-foot tall guy, doesn't really. It's not his thing. But yeah,
not quite sure how that works.
It is weird. It is weird. But this team rebounds really, really well outside of him, and
5 guys in double digits Saturday. Of course, when you score 85 points, that's kind of going to happen.
I think BJ Edwards getting some time was big. And when asked about if he was ready,
Coach, I guards the kid Ziegler every day.
I think I'm good.
I'm ready.
I mean, so
I'm ready.
I thought that was big for him to get some minutes, and this team is going to need some depth at that position late in the season, and obviously, again, getting JoJo James back 7-11 from the floor, huge day for him.
Ziegler 5 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3, 2 boards, 11 assists.
If he's dishing it and hitting shots.
And I don't know how you let him spot up behind the arc the way everybody seems to. It's like
can't find it.
They can't see him.
They're just looking right over it.
Yeah, I mean, he gets guarded like he's shooting 20% from 3, and it's more like 40% probably at least.
Right.
If it goes up, it's going down for him more likely than not.
And Tennessee's got a big week this week. Obviously, you've got Arkansas coming to Thompson Bowling. Then you've got to go down to Auburn. And Auburn, speaking of, playing for their tournament lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got number 1 Alabama coming in on Wednesday. So for the second week in a row, Tennessee gets a team that's had to play Alabama midweek, and they'll get them on Saturday. But Auburn is playing for its tournament lives after getting just embarrassed by Kentucky, who, by the way, is playing really well.
Alabama,
Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
My gosh, they look like Kentucky.
Well,
you said it. It's coming. When's it coming?
At some point, Kentucky's going to be Kentucky, and you just don't want it to be against you. Well, it has been
against just about everybody at this point. Yeah. And they're going to go into the tournament on a roll. They're going to be playing some of their best basketball going to the SEC tournament.
Who do they have left?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that. Kentucky's schedule. And what's funny because what's his name? Southeastern 14, Blake Lovell.
Mm-hmm.
He actually put up a go ahead and read off Kentucky's, but I've got the entire SEC schedule.
Vanderbilt goes to Rupp Wednesday night.
Knew that.
Kentucky goes to Fayetteville on Saturday.
Here you go.
That'll be fun.
So Vanderbilt at Kentucky.
Oh, so Arkansas finishes with Tennessee and Kentucky. That's not fun.
It's not ideal if you're Eric Musselman, who's already frustrated. After they played Alabama this weekend. Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky in a row. Who did they piss off?
That's exactly it. It's like who in the SEC office did they piss off? Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
So Tuesday, again, Arkansas, Tennessee, but yeah, that Vanderbilt Kentucky game is huge for Vanderbilt specifically. You know, Vanderbilt, had they beaten LSU, I think they could afford to lose this game and still have an argument at the NCAA tournament. I think they win this game and they may be in. Especially
the way Kentucky's playing right now.
At least in that 8-team last four in, last four out range.
Mm-hmm.
And with a chance to play themselves in with the SEC tournament.
Sure.
But I think they've got to win this one because you got Vanderbilt coming into Memorial on Saturday. And, you know, obviously big win over the weekend over Florida. You know, I'm not sure that I expected Vanderbilt to win that game the way they played at LSU. I thought Florida was going to come in, you know, and kind of want to take some revenge from that loss.
But Florida's not been anything special, and they've not done anything special. I mean, there was no real reason to think necessarily that they were going to beat Vanderbilt, other than Vanderbilt lost at LSU. I didn't think they necessarily played badly at LSU. They just lost.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the road, it's the SEC, you know. But I tell you what, Saturday's got some interesting ball games with that Alabama Texas A&M game, that Kentucky Arkansas, Tennessee Auburn means something. And again, Mississippi State coming to Vandy Saturday night.
And again, Mississippi State right now, last team in the tournament. So Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, both of them have, you know, kind of fighting for tournament time potentially, especially if Vanderbilt wins at Rupp.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a huge week. And I'm looking forward to it, and not only on the men's side, but on the women's side.
Well, the tournament starts this week. Yeah. In fact, we're going to have Scott Rabelais from the Baton Rouge Advocate tomorrow to talk a little bit about the SEC tournament on the women's side over in Greenville, South Carolina. Have fun with that.
Greenville, South Carolina. Oh, no,
and I got a couple other questions for Scott that are not women's basketball related.
Well, you know, I'm anytime we have Scott on, it's fun because he's a mess. But I'm really excited about this SEC tournament because we know who's going to be in the championship game more than likely, but the rest of the tournament is going to be interesting.
I watched Tennessee, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, Auburn yesterday, women's games, and during one of them, Charlie Cream talked about how Tennessee's chances to maybe host a first and second round would hinge largely on them making a run to the SEC finals and beating LSU probably in the semifinals, which
there.
The way the bracket sets up, that's where they would meet
Tennessee
LSU.
would be the 3 seed, right?
Mm-hmm. Tennessee's a 3, LSU's the 2. So they would play in a semifinal if seeds hold, and a win there for Tennessee to put them in the finals might get them a top 4 seed in the NCAA.
And look, Tennessee took it to South Carolina for 3 quarters the other night. And, you know,
it is still hard for me to believe that this Tennessee team has not beaten a top 25 team.
It's wild.
And they've had plenty of opportunities.
Part of the reason, though, is because nobody in the SEC is ranked except for the top
South
2
Carolina
teams.
and LSU, yeah.
And that's unfortunate. But, yeah, but they have had plenty of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, the Connecticut team, which, by the way, you know, this Connecticut team that played against South Carolina and against Tennessee is not the same Connecticut team we've seen over the last week, losing to – who did they lose to? They lost to somebody like you would never expect a UConn women's team to lose to. I wish I could remember who it was.
Hang on.
But it was
DePaul?
Yeah. Like, what? DePaul?
It was at DePaul.
So?
And it was about
you know, but yeah, they've had their opportunities and just haven't been able to get over the hump.
This is crazy. Okay, so here's your top 5 in the women's AP top 25. South Carolina.
Is this updated today?
This is today.
Okay, so Iowa just beat Indiana, so that's interesting. They beat Indiana
yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're still number 2.
And they dropped. They dropped in the poll. They dropped a spot in the poll.
Indiana?
No, Iowa.
Oh.
Beat number 2 and dropped.
Well, they must have lost to somebody pretty
care.
bad earlier in the week.
I don't care.
Yeah, but South Carolina, Indiana, Utah is up 5 spots to number 3. LSU
Because they beat Stanford. Okay. That's why Iowa dropped.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Utah is 3, LSU is 4, and Maryland is 5. Followed by Stanford, Iowa, Virginia Tech, UConn at 9, and Notre Dame. So that's your women's top 10.
That's something.
Duke slipped 2 spots to 13 after losing by 4 to North Carolina.
Is Tennessee anywhere close to the top?
No, but Middle is 24th.
So Middle is 24th. Tennessee is 27th.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Middle Tennessee State.
Ole Miss, which almost beat South Carolina on Thursday, I think, is receiving votes.
And that
they are basically number 31 in the top 25.
Interesting. Middle had a tough go of it down in Ruston, but that's to be expected, man.
Yeah.
That's to be expected.
Somebody threw a very interesting question out on Twitter yesterday, and it really caught my eye. For its obscurity as much as anything, but whoever it was knows some college basketball, men's and women's. Who returns to prominence first, Georgetown men or Louisiana Tech women?
Oof.
That was my response. And I honestly don't know if either of them does.
La Tech women haven't been good, and I hate to say this, since Tyler was there. I mean, I don't think that he had
yeah, I'm not sure what that had to do with it, but yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunate, but you feel like it would be easier to maybe recruit at Georgetown being in the Big East versus La Tech in Conference USA.
But also, you've got more other good teams, more other good programs to deal with in the Big East.
You do, but now in Louisiana, you've got to deal with LSU being good, so that's a problem. And it used to be, again, we talked about this earlier, there were 4 good teams. Now there's 10 or 12. And, you know, and they're just, fact is, there's not that many 5-star girl basketball players out there. There just aren't.
Like I said, it was an interesting question.
It is,
and kind of caught my eye there. So
anyway, hey, let's take a quick break because I want to talk about some drama in the Grapefruit League. Talk about the pitch clock and some other things that have happened over the weekend. The pitch clock ending the Braves Red Sox spring training game wasn't even the worst thing to happen to the Braves over the weekend. So we'll talk about that and more on the other side of Main Street Sports Today. Y'all stick around.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, coming to you live from AJ's Good Time Bar, the third floor, where I used to host karaoke and held my wedding reception right here on this floor. True story. There was like 12 people here.
Well, there's room for at least 24.
Yeah, listen, man, we brought we brought the bartender like $500 and said, okay, it's an open bar till this 500's gone. Then they got to pay for their own. We still had like $200 left when yeah, it was crazy. Like we were buying everybody drinks. Hey, you come up here to sing karaoke, you're getting a drink from Chris and Sarah. It was a good night.
Hate that I missed that.
We were barely even colleagues at that time.
All right.
You know, that's it, and it makes me sad because I hate that you and Jody missed that too, because it would have been fun. You would have. I think is the
I can tell you this. I don't think you would have gotten any money back if I had been here.
No, we didn't get any money back. We just kept drinking.
Oh.
The same night, Devere Walker, a friend of ours, was here and ended up singing karaoke that night. So, crazy.
Did he bring any bacon with him?
He did not bring bacon with him, and that's why he got kicked out of the shrine. No, kidding. Oh man, do love Devere though. The best bacon maker in all of Columbia for sure. No question. Let's talk a little baseball, man. Weird stuff happening down in the Grapefruit League. The pitch clock's getting some hate. Not surprisingly, as you see here, the Atlanta Braves and the Boston Red Sox game, bases loaded. Bring that up full screen if you can. Bases loaded, full count. 3-2 count, bottom of the ninth, tie game. It's every kid's dream, and this is
except this guy,
this Conley kid.
Conley.
So he gets into the batter's box, right? And the rule is that you have to be in the box and looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds or more on the clock. All right. So is there a way to pause it when he's in the box? Like, because I want to talk. Let's try to pause it while he's in the box.
I don't know that the camera is on him in the box.
Here. Okay. Well, no, it's not. There's another angle out there that shows him during that. And here's the thing. When the umpire calls time, the catcher is still standing. So he's in the box, he just wasn't looking at the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have his head turned toward the pitcher, which would be an automatic strike. But if the catcher's standing up, the pitcher clearly isn't ready. So what are we doing?
Right.
This is it right here. Yep. See, he calls time in the middle, and the catcher's still standing up. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway,
they need to figure out how they're going to officiate that rule if that rule is going to be there.
Well, you've added another judgment call to umpires, and they don't need any more judgment calls to have to make. And look, that's what spring training is for. I'm not saying that there's anything good or bad. I think most of, and maybe we need to talk to Ethan Small again, because I'd love to get somebody on from the AAA level from here in Nashville who did deal with a pitch clock for the entirety of last season, and ask them how it kind of changed their game and how it transformed over the year and how used to it they got.
And I do feel like that ideally spring training is the place
this is it
for all of this to get ironed out so that it doesn't cost somebody a game that matters at some point.
But if that happened in a regular season game, a division game,
somebody's going to get thrown out.
End of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, World War III is going to come. Yeah. So I think it's interesting, because I do think that the AAA level, which has had it for 2 years now, I believe, it doesn't seem to affect the game too much. And did you see Jeff Passan's tweet about the I think he had the time on 2 games like 2 hours and 37 minutes or
something like that.
Is that what Conley said? Cal Conley with the quote of the day.
With all due respect.
Oh yeah, because there's
all the respect that it's due.
Yes, which is 0 apparently.
Yeah.
Cal Conley with the quote there. But I do think that this could be good. Here's my problem with it, or here's a thought.
A problem. With
an unintended consequence. If the games are going by faster, how much money are we losing at concession stands? Because here's the thing. The best thing about baseball is you can go to a concession stand in the middle of the game and not miss nearly as much action as other sports.
Right. Yeah.
Because you've got 3 or 4 minutes or go to the restroom in between innings. It can be done. Now, things are going to be changing. So anyway, how much profit are these folks going to be losing because the games are shorter?
How much are you costing me? Yeah.
I think that's an unintended consequence that I don't think anybody's thought about yet.
No, they haven't, but they will.
Yeah, because it's okay at the minor league level when there's 8,000 people there, but when there's 30,000 people there or more, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought. We should probably think about that, MLB.
Yeah.
But
well, you want MLB to think about something?
No, I don't. I would prefer they just stop thinking altogether and just play baseball. But that's neither here nor there. Either.
So, Chris, you don't have it on the Run of Show.
I don't. What's up?
Scrolling through Twitter as I am wont to do, Big Game Boomer has every college fan base's favorite music band / singer.
Well, that's perfect for this venue here.
So
let's start.
I'm looking through it. Yeah, we'll start with Alabama's Leonard Skinner. But I got questions. And you're going to have questions too in just a second, because Middle Tennessee State's fan base's favorite music band / singer is Shania Twain. And I thought,
are y'all Canadian now?
I thought, why would MTSU's favorite singer not be Sam Hunt
or Chris Young?
So then I thought,
well, Sam Hunt went to UAB.
Well, Sam Hunt went to MTSU first.
But he was a quarterback at UAB.
Okay.
But I'm thinking Chris Young.
Okay, but UAB's favorite music band / singer is Rascal Flatts.
Based on what?
I don't know.
What is this based on?
I don't know. I don't know. It's.
I mean, this may be based on like Spotify data.
It's interesting.
I'm curious because this is a good. This is really
Westerns is Nappy Roots. Florida's is Tom Petty, which makes perfect sense.
okay. But what? Why don't I don't like that? I like westerns better than anybody else's. I'm surprised they're not all Kenny Chesney.
Tennessee's is Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, but I'm surprised they're not
Everybody's.
all Kenny Chesney.
That
That would make sense.
an
for him.
argument could be made for that. You
How
know?
about Arkansas? Merle Haggard.
How about that?
Not even Johnny Cash, which is Arkansas State's, by the way. And Army's
I guess
Billy
because
Joel.
it's all in black.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Billy Joel for Army. How about that?
Lil Wayne for Houston.
Auburn with Lionel.
Snoop Dogg is Kansas
What?
and USC's.
Kansas?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on now. How much Snoop are we listening to in Kansas?
I don't know.
Clearly more than I thought.
I don't know.
Kansas State, Nicki Minaj. This is phenomenal.
So Toby Keith is
not surprising.
Is Oklahoma's.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this is Garth Brooks and not Gary. Is there a Gary
Yes,
Brooks?
it's Garth. I don't know.
Okay.
I think they got auto corrected there.
Of course, Minnesota's is Prince.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love that Michigan is Kid Rock and Michigan State is Eminem. That's phenomenal. that may be the
Advantage
best.
Michigan State.
Yes, by far.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus for San Diego State. Come on.
Morgan Wallen for South Alabama.
It's not surprising.
Darius Rucker.
Zero surprise that South Carolina is Darius Rucker.
Right. That's
like the least surprising thing I've ever seen. I might love Texas Christians. Nickelback. Come on.
Drake for UConn and Utah State.
Huh.
I think it would have been better if you had only one artist per school.
Yeah, you gotta pick one.
Yeah.
Like who is the one that best
because Darius
represents?
Rucker is also Coastals.
Well, again, it kind of makes sense, but this is Charlotte, Clay Aiken.
Lil Wayne is LSU and Houston, actually.
Well, you know. So I actually, the guy who
I have to interject about the Clay Aiken thing. Hold on.
Mm-mm.
Is it really? Is it really?
Yes.
My middle name is Clay, and I never was able to say that to people. But I didn't know he was that's popular. I didn't know he was still relevant. So I guess I'll go by Clay.
He is only relevant in Charlotte, North Carolina.
So I'm moving there.
I went to a concert over the weekend, which, by the way, we need to talk about what we did over the weekend. But I went to a concert over the weekend, and this guy named Ben Burgess was the opener. Ben Burgess was like, reason y'all ain't heard of us is because I've been under a rock writing music for other people. So he wrote the #1 hit for Morgan Wallen, Whiskey Glasses, big hit, song of the year a couple years ago. Wrote Flower Shops for Ernest, big country hit. He lives in Texas, though, and also wrote Texas Radio #1 Drinking Days by Pat Green. But here's my favorite. Lil Wayne's Dreams. Ben Burgess is a co-writer on Lil Wayne's song Dreams. So I would just like to throw that out there.
You'd like to think that like Lil Wayne was like, man, it's missing something. I don't know what it is.
Hey, get me that Burgess dude.
Yeah. How about you know that guy that wrote that wrote for Morgan Wallen? Let's get him in here.
Get him in here. Yeah.
What in the world?
That recording session was not awkward, I bet.
Like how crazy. I was like, so cool. What has he written? So when he said he was a songwriter, I'm like, because sometimes people are like, yeah, we've been writing stuff for other people and it's stuff you've never heard. Well, this guy's a CMA songwriter or song of the year writer and stuff like that. But then you just scrolling through, what? Okay. So I'm screaming, man, like, hey man, do Dreams. Don't think that would have gone over with the Larry Fleet crowd so well, but anyway.
Like you're only saying that one. Please, just Dreams.
What about, and we didn't get to this drama, how about CB Buckner not shaking hands with St. Louis Cardinals
with Marmol
manager.
Yeah,
what's his first name?
Oliver Marmol. Yeah,
Oliver Marmol. And I just thought that was,
in spring training.
That is a
We
level
beefing
of
in
petty
spring training.
to which I aspire, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but
what did Marmol say? Why are they beefing? Do we know?
Nah.
Look at this look on this guy's face. I mean, I've
Well,
never
the
seen
thing
anybody
is,
so
I don't know if
upset.
they are beefing. It sounds like Buckner is beefing.
Marmol's like, I tried to shake his hand. I don't know what you're talking
I don't
about.
know what.
So I don't know when this happened. This is clearly not.
Oh, good Lord.
Spring training.
Buckner and Angel Hernandez on the same ump staff. That. Oof.
No wonder Marmol's so upset.
Yeah, I'd be mad too. Why they send both of y'all?
Y'all picked the wrong person to be mad at, though. You should have been mad at the signer on that one.
That is true.
But it got me thinking about this weekend and getting yelled at by an official. Never seen ref on ref crime, but we almost saw it this weekend when I got yelled at by a ref. So that was fun. That was fun.
We have time for you to tell the story.
The story is this. I show up to officiate a youth league basketball game, 3rd and 4th graders. They've got some different rules, but for the most part, we're calling basketball, and it's a girls' game. So we're kind of lenient, but not really, right? Mm-hmm. So we're in the middle of the game, and first quarter, and my partner, who shows up wearing a football uniform, football referee uniform, got a collar on it, big wide stripes.
Oh, God.
Looks like he's at refereeing the XFL.
Okay.
So he shows up, and he's like, first of all, he shows up late. He's 2 hours late for his first game. But he gets there, and he's doing this game. In the first quarter, he just yells at the coach. I mean, there's not even a sideline. This is Vanderbilt style. The teams are on end lines. Okay. So there's no bench, because they've got at Columbia Academy, they've got a curtain, like the CUSA curtain, dividing the court in half. So you're going sideways on the court. So those bleachers that are on the end line at Columbia Academy, those are the bleachers.
Sidelines.
Yes.
There. Okay.
So that's where the fans sit, the parents and whatnot. Well, unfortunately, the out of bounds line is about 3 rows deep into those bleachers. And so he calls out of bounds on the actual end line of the court. And I'm like, wait, no, out of bounds is over there, man. He's like, what? I'm like, no, out of bounds is can they just run in the bleachers? Yes, they can. If that's what they want to do. Don't come at me. I don't know.
My question is, like, it's because you had to feel like you couldn't just like walk up to him and be like, hey, look, that's not right. You had to like subtly be like, hey, man, that's not right.
Yeah,
right?
It's basically like,
because you don't want to
I didn't want to show him up.
Yeah, exactly,
I didn't want to show him up because I'm not, I don't want to show you up as an official. I want to, especially if you're new, I want to come over there, kind of
coach you up.
Yeah, kind of coach you up a little bit. Just say, hey, great job. Just FYI, out of bounds is over there. Well, I didn't know. Obviously, you didn't know. That's why I'm here.
This is the circle thing. It's a basketball. Okay.
But so he starts yelling at the coach to get off the court. Well, the coach is just kind of like there's only 6 inches between the curtain and the sideline, and he yells across the court. And I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't do that, but okay.
Old move, Cotton.
Whatever. So late in the game, the coach is running down the sideline, and he's saying sub, because he wanted to get a sub in before the time ran out. And neither one of us heard him. So he just kept coming closer and yelling sub. And eventually I finally heard him, and I stopped the play. And about that time, as soon as I blew my whistle, dude yells at me, how far are you going to let him get on the court? And I'm like, first of all, the audacity of this man to yell at me.
At you?
You raised your voice at me, and I've been trying to be nice to you this whole time.
Sir.
No, thank you.
Now that's when you go, can I have everyone's attention?
So
this man had no idea where out of bounds was.
Yes. So at that point, the game was almost over. I gave the ball to the guy in charge, and I was like, "Listen, man, don't call me if he's officiating again. Just don't call me." So anyway, it was a heck of a weekend.
A one-man crew, huh?
It was a heck of a crew. Heck of a weekend, heck of a time. But boy, Oh, what a day it has been here in downtown Nashville. Time flies when you're having fun, Mo.
We're just about out of here.
We're out of here.
Time
We're
to
back
go watch some
tomorrow,
ball.
2:00. We'll be talking hoops tomorrow as well. High school hoops tonight, girls action. So come back then on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll see you.